It starts the moment your feet hit the floor. You don't just feel pain, you feel a deep mechanical resistance in your ankles, your knees, or your hips. It's a sensation that the medical literature frequently associates with the gel phenomenon. It doesn't feel like a simple twisted ankle or a bruise. It feels like your joints are resisting movement, almost as if they are rusting from the inside out. You have to hobble, stretch, and move for 20 or 30 minutes just to liquefy the stiffness before you can walk with any sense of normalcy. And often, this morning rust is accompanied by a subtle, incredibly annoying warning sign that you might be ignoring. A persistent, rhythmic twitching in your eyelid. You probably think it's just fatigue, stress, or maybe you need new glasses. But in the world of functional nutrition and biological detective work, this twitch has a name: myokemia. And while it can be a sign of being tired, in persistent cases, it is a blinking check engine light on your dashboard suggesting a systemic mineral imbalance. It is a signal that your nervous system is struggling to regulate electrolytes. Now here is the trap that keeps millions of seniors in discomfort. Most of you, and unfortunately, many standard treatments focus solely on symptoms. Write this off as simple wear and tear. They tell you it's just part of getting older. You might be prescribed anti-inflammatories like ibuprofen or corticosteroids. These medications have their place for acute pain management. But if you take the pills and the stiffness remains, you must ask why. Because often you are treating the downstream effect, not the upstream mechanism. You are trying to put out a fire, inflammation, with anti-inflammatories, but the reality is that your body tissues are calcifying. They are hardening where they should be soft. Research confirms that this specific type of morning rust is biologically distinct from simple inflammatory conditions like rheumatoid arthritis. If you treat a solubility problem as if it were purely an inflammation problem, you will struggle to find long-term relief. We are going to explore the evidence that your stiff knees, your heavy legs, and that annoying eye twitch are all evidence of a metabolic shift happening inside you right now. It is called the calcium paradox. It is a state where your body begins to mobilize calcium from your bones, where it belongs, and deposits it into your soft tissues, where it destroys your mobility. And the most shocking part? The root cause of this migration isn't in your legs at all. It is starting in your stomach, with a hidden chemical imbalance that most modern lifestyles inadvertently worsen. Important note: the following information is for educational purposes. Always consult your physician before changing your diet or supplement regimen, especially if you have a history of kidney disease or heart conditions. Let's strip away the medical jargon for a moment and look at the crime scene inside your body. The biological villain driving this pathology is a process called ectopic calcification. Specifically, we are often dealing with the precipitation of calcium salts, such as calcium pyrophosphate dihydrate or CPPD crystals. To understand why this happens, you have to understand basic chemistry. Your blood and your joint fluids are liquid solutions. In a healthy body, calcium remains dissolved in these fluids, invisible and mobile, traveling to your bones where it acts as a strengthening agent. But in your case, the environment has changed. The chemistry of your body fluids has shifted. Your systemic buffering capacity has been altered, while, crucially, your stomach has become too neutral, insufficiently acidic. This alters what scientists call the solubility product constant. It is a fancy way of saying that your body fluids struggle to hold calcium in a liquid state. It is forced out of the solution. It turns from a liquid transport form into a solid deposit. I want you to visualize this because it is a process happening over years. Imagine your blood vessels and the fluid inside your knees are no longer fast-flowing streams, but rivers where sediment is settling. First, look at your arteries. In your youth, they were like fresh, high-quality rubber hoses, flexible, elastic, able to expand and contract with every beat of your heart. But under the influence of this calcification, the walls of those arteries are transforming into rigid pipes. They are losing their ability to pulse effectively. This creates a high-pressure system where your blood is no longer flowing smoothly. It is being forced to squeeze through a tighter, harder gap, forcing your heart to work double time just to pump the same amount of fluid. Now, look at your joints. This is where that morning rust comes from. Healthy synovial fluid should be like premium motor oil, slick, viscous, and protective. But as the calcium precipitates out of the solution, that oil turns into a thick, gritty paste. If we took a sample of fluid from a knee affected by this condition and put it under a microscope, we wouldn't see round, smooth pebbles. We would see CPPD crystals. They are sharp, they are rhomboid-shaped, they are jagged. So, when you wake up in the morning and feel that stiffness, it is because those crystals have settled and locked together like cement setting overnight. When you try to move, you are literally grinding against that resistance. This is why the pain eases up after 30 minutes of walking. It isn't because the injury healed. It is because the sheer force of your movement temporarily breaks the stagnation and re-liquefies the gel. You are physically churning the fluid back into a slurry so you can move. But here is the danger of the silent progression. If you ignore this, if you just take a painkiller and sit back down, the calcification spreads. It moves from your joints to your vascular system. Research indicates that among adults aged 65 to 75, the prevalence of coronary artery calcium is significant. In studies of older adults, researchers found that a vast majority had detectable calcium in the arteries of their heart. This is not a rare disease. It is a common mode of aging in the modern world that we must actively work to prevent. That sensation of heavy legs you feel when walking upstairs? That isn't just weak muscles. That could be the early stage of peripheral arterial disease. Or PAD, your leg arteries are becoming so calcified that they cannot dilate to let more blood in when you need it. Up to 50% of these cases are asymptomatic until the artery is critically blocked, leading to ischemia. You are slowly losing flexibility, and the stiffness in your knees is just the first warning shot. So, we have identified the weapon, calcium crystals, and we have identified the victim, your stiff, rusting joints. But a detective needs to find the culprit. Who is letting this happen? The answer is going to sound completely unrelated to your knees, but this is the aha moment that changes everything. The link between your heavy legs and your stiff joints is the pH level of your stomach. The stiff man is suffering from a dual failure that creates a perfect storm for calcification, gastric hypochlorhydria, which means too little acid in the stomach, and a metabolic imbalance in blood buffering. It seems contradictory, doesn't it? We are told that acid is bad. We are told to fear heartburn. But physiologically, your body is desperate for stomach acid. Here is the domino effect that leads to your pain step by step. Step 1 is the root cause, stress and aging. As we age, our stomach acid production naturally drops. Add to that a lifetime of chronic low-grade stress, which raises your cortisol and aldosterone levels. When these stress hormones are high, they signal your kidneys to do two dangerous things: dump magnesium out through your urine and alter bicarbonate retention. Your electrolyte balance is disrupted, while your stomach is becoming weaker. Step 2 is the transmission, or what I call the calcium paradox. You eat a healthy meal with calcium, maybe cheese, yogurt, or a supplement. But because your stomach acid is weak, you cannot ionize that calcium. To be absorbed, minerals must be bathed in strong acid. Without it, the calcium stays locked in the food and passes right through you, or is absorbed in a form that is harder to utilize. Now your body enters a panic state. Your heart and your nerves need calcium to function. They cannot wait for your next meal. So, your brain signals the parathyroid gland to release a hormone called PTH. This hormone has one job: to mobilize calcium. It acts like a demolition crew, stripping calcium out of your bones to keep your blood levels stable. This brings us to step 3, symptom manifestation. You now have calcium flooding into your blood from your own bones. But remember, you are likely magnesium deficient because of the stress. Magnesium is nature's calcium channel blocker. It keeps calcium dissolved, Without magnesium and without vitamin K2 acting as the traffic cop to tell that calcium where to go, the mineral gets confused. It looks for a place to settle. And because your body fluids are biochemically imbalanced, it precipitates. It settles in the meniscus of your knee as morning rust. It settles in the walls of your arteries as plaque. You are effectively dissolving your bones to pave your arteries with stone. This brings us to a dangerous myth in the health space right now. You have probably heard well-meaning friends or influencers tell you to alkalize your body. They tell you to drink alkaline water or take baking soda to fight inflammation. If you are suffering from the gel phenomenon and low stomach acid, this advice can be harmful if applied incorrectly. The research shows that for the aging adult with compromised digestion, neutralizing stomach acid is the last thing you want to do during a meal. By drinking alkaline water with food, you are neutralizing the very little stomach acid you have left, worsening the absorption problem and feeding the precipitation cycle. You don't need to alkalize your stomach. You need to acidify the gut to restore ionization and tell your parathyroid gland to stand down. The chemistry is clear. We have to reverse the flow. We have to stop the body from robbing the bones, and we have to help dissolve the crystals that have already formed, and we can do it with 3 specific tools. So, how do we help turn you back from stiffness into mobility? How do we liquefy the rust? The solution is not about adding more medication without cause. It is about restoring the basic chemistry of your fluids. First, we need to clear the stop list. There are 2 things you must stop doing immediately. Number 1, stop ignoring the twitch. If your eyelid is twitching, do not just assume you need more sleep. That twitch can be caused by the buildup of metabolic byproducts or a lack of electrolytes like potassium and magnesium. It is a biological cry for help saying your nervous system is misfiring. Number 2, stop the sedentary response to pain. When your legs feel heavy or your knees feel stiff, your instinct is to sit down and rest. But in this specific condition, resting is rusting. Every minute you sit still, the gel thickens and the crystals lock tighter. You have to move to keep the fluids moving. Now, let's move to the start list. We call this the lazy solution because it uses simple, accessible ingredients to correct complex chemistry. First, you need the solvent. This is apple cider vinegar. I want you to take 1 tablespoon diluted in a large glass of water right before your biggest meals. We aren't doing this for weight loss, we are doing it for the acetic acid. This acid provides the protons, the positive hydrogen ions, that your stomach desperately needs to ionize the calcium in your food. Once you acidify the gut, you absorb the minerals effectively, and the signal to your parathyroid gland to strip your bones is shut down. You stop the demolition crew. Theoretically, the acetate ions also help support metabolic health. Second, you need the dissolver. We call this potassium support. The original protocol often suggests cream of tartar mixed with sea salt. However, we must be careful. Cream of tartar is very high in potassium. If you have kidney issues or take blood pressure medication, do not take this without a doctor's approval. For a safer, food-based approach, I want you to increase your intake of potassium-rich foods like avocados, spinach, and coconut water, or use a balanced electrolyte powder approved by your physician. Potassium helps your kidneys flush out the excess sodium and balances the fluid pressure in your cells, which helps stop that eye twitch. Third, and perhaps most importantly, you need the traffic cop. You must take vitamin K2, specifically in the MK7 form. Think of calcium like a confused car driving around your body. Without a traffic cop, it parks illegally in your arteries and knees. Vitamin K2 activates a specific protein called matrix GLA protein. This protein acts like a claw. It sweeps through your bloodstream, grabs the calcium out of your soft tissues, and physically shuttles it back into the bone matrix where it belongs. It cleans the pipes. Finally, here is the 2-minute habit you can do today. It is called stop-start walking. Please check with your cardiologist before starting this if you have a history of chest pain. If you have that heavy leg sensation, I want you to walk until you feel moderate discomfort, a cramping sensation doctors call claudication. When the pain hits, stop and rest until it passes. Then immediately start walking again. Repeat this cycle for 30 minutes. Why? Because you are using physics to heal biology. This specific pattern creates shear stress in your vessels. It forces the thickened synovial fluid to liquefy, lubricating the joint. But even more amazingly, this stress signals your body to grow collateral circulation. Your body will literally build new natural bypass vessels around the calcified arteries to restore blood flow. You are forcing the river to find a new path. This isn't magic, it is metabolic correction. By addressing the root cause, the stomach pH, the calcium transport, and the movement patterns, you aren't just masking the pain. You are actively engineering a body that refuses to rust.